Again to Joe Stunner Boxing. So Seniesa Estrada retains her WBA and WBC minimum weight championships against Leonela Yudica. Tough fight. Always frustrating with these 2-minute rounds, only 10 of them. They just fly by. Definitely favours the person who gets their skates on the quickest. But Estrada moves to 25 wins with 9 KOs, no defeats, no draws, and Yudica drops to 19 wins with only one knockout and 2 defeats, both on points. Now, Estrada, she's been obviously groomed as, a major player in, she is a major player in that division, but a major player in women's boxing as well. Last time out, she beat Tina Ruprecht, won the WBC title to go with her WBA title. And she's also held light flyweight titles as well. She actually moved down. She held, I think, the WBO title. That was back in 2021. So she's actually moved down in weight, or back down in weight, I should say, because she started off as minimum weight champ, moved up, sort of flitted between the two weights. But that kind of pales to what Yudica did, because Yudica was a long-term flyweight champion. Won the title very early on in her career, IBF version, and she made 9 defences of the flyweight title. And only lost it last year, in October last year, when she had a brilliant fight with Arely Machino of Mexico. Very, very good fight, very close fight. Both girls were marked up at the end of it. Yudica had a big sort of swelling on the forehead, and actually in this fight against Estrada, she ended up with a little knot on her forehead. So forehead injuries seem to be something that Yudica can't get away from. But Machino in that fight actually had a bad cut, so it was very close. Split decision to Machino, which meant that Yudica lost her title. Long-term champ, lost her title on a split decision. That's always hard. She then came back earlier this year, only April, which isn't that long ago, and beat Tamara DeMarco, a split decision win over 10 rounds, and picked up a WBC silver light flyweight title. So she's moved down one division, and then a few months later, here she is fighting at minimum weight. So she's in the last what have we got now? Last sort of 9 months, 8-9 months, she's lost 7 pounds, which for a woman who ends up only weighing 105 pounds, that's half a stone. That's a lot of weight to lose. But it didn't show in the fight, because she gave Estrada a very good fight. And Estrada, the shorter woman, she's got this really, I don't like it at all, this habit of switch hitting constantly. She sort of comes in square on, and then she tries to rely on switch hitting almost, click of the fingers, and she's 1 minute she's orthodox, next minute she's southpaw. I don't particularly like that at all. I think that gives an opponent a chance to sort of punch through your offence, because you're obviously having to reset yourself every time. And that's exactly what Yudica did. But the first round I definitely gave to Estrada. Second round, Yudica, I thought, clearly won that round. And then then I think there was a period where Yudica wasn't making the most of her reach advantage. Estrada was kind of trying to draw her in and set traps as the smaller woman and counterpunch, and she was having some success with that. But Yudica did eventually start to become a bit more proactive, a bit more offensive, moved in closer, took a few more risks, and was starting to land punches against Estrada. And a lot of these rounds were close. I mean, they were. I mean, the decision was, a majority decision in favour of Estrada. Was all 3 judges had it 97-93, and I had that same, I don't know whether I scored the same rounds for her, but I had the same total, 97-93 to Estrada. But a lot of these rounds were close, because Estrada was being aggressive. For the most part, she was the aggressor, but she was getting clocked coming in. And Estrada also, on a couple of occasions, moved straight back. With a cardinal sin in boxing, moved straight back out with your head up. Because she was the shorter woman, I think she thought, well, I don't really need to crouch low and make myself an even smaller target. you know, I can afford to just move out almost casually, and she got clocked a few times. But she was fighting in certain rounds. She fought very intelligently. There was a good check hook in there at one point. But there's no doubt about it. Yudica did have her moments, and some of these rounds were very, very difficult to pick. You know, it was 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I don't believe in giving drawn rounds, so I was, and probably if I watch this fight again I might have a different scorecard, but I've got no problem with Estrada winning. Estrada was marked up. There was I think in the 8th round there was a brilliant right hand from Yudica that landed right sort of on the eye, or maybe just under the eye of Estrada, and afterwards you could see there was a discoloration and a swelling under her eye. Like I said, Yudica had a sort of knot sticking out of her forehead, but looked for the most part better off, at least cosmetically better off. But I don't think she quite did enough, Yudica. I mean, she's 34 now. Estrada, I think, is 30 or 31. So it's not like she's past it, Yudica. She can come back. Was the weight cut a factor? Didn't look like it. I mean, again, we're talking 10 2-minute rounds. It's not; these aren't lengthy rounds or lengthy fights, really. Not at world level. I mean, it's 20 minutes of boxing, which is, I always say 20 minutes of boxing is only 2 minutes more than the men's 6-rounder, which it is. But Yudica can come back. Fair play to her. I mean, she's been on the road. She fights in America. She's from Argentina, and she's 2 trips to the US have resulted in defeat, which is not ideal, obviously. Afterwards, Estrada in the ring was confronted by Yokasta Valle, who's got the other 2 belts at minimum weight. And Valle from Costa Rica is 30 years old. She was all dolled up to the nines in a black cocktail dress, all sparkly, and yet she didn't suffer from bad mouthing Seniesa. And they went at it. Seniesa said she's going to give her an ass whipping and all this, usual old cobblers. But I think Valle, it's interesting because Valle's got 2 defeats on her record. She's 28 wins with 9 KOs and 2 defeats, both on points. And they were back to back, but they were a long while ago, 2017 and 2018. One of those defeats was a unanimous decision to Tina Ruprecht, who in Seniesa's previous fight was the opponent, and Seniesa beat her, took a belt off her. It's a good win for Seniesa, actually. But again, we're going back 5 years, so I wouldn't read too much into that. And certainly Valle has gone on a very, very long unbeaten streak, and yeah, that's a good one. For all the belts, that's a good one, and I think that'll probably be next for both women. But well done to Seniesa Estrada. I mean, she is a very good fighter. I don't think this was her best performance by a long shot. Maybe she was looking ahead. Maybe she was looking forward to Yokasta Valle wanting all those belts. But yeah, she's 30, 31, whatever she is. She's got time. And yeah, good fighter, but needs to. I don't like all this switch hitting, all this getting up close and 1 minute. It's almost like she's punching like this, like she's working a couple of levers, and you're leaving yourself wide open. You're standing in the front, in the doorway, square on very often. And I think if Yudica had been a bit more industrious and let her hands go a bit more courageous, a bit more cavalier, that she might have had more success, because she did have some success. But 97, 93 seemed like, I mean, that's what I made it, and that's what the judges made it, and that seemed fair to me. So yeah, what do you think of this fight? Did you watch it? Let us know what you think of Estrada and a potential matchup with Yokasta Valle. I think that would be a really good fight. Both girls, action fighters. I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah, leave your comments below. As always, hit the like button if you like the video. Thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. I always appreciate it. And if you could subscribe to the channel and spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing, I'd appreciate it. In the meantime, tonight we've got a certain Mr. Spencer, Mr. Crawford going at it. Can't wait for that one. Catch you then. Bye for now.